where you are. That's it.
This is Appetite for Distortion.
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 274. In just a moment, the Queen will be joining us, Charlotte Flair from the WWE. I've been watching this every single Sunday night, to be honest with you. The WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. And it's the season finale. I'm actually kind of bummed about it. She'll be featured with her dad, Charlotte, and Ric Flair. Woo! Season finale this Sunday, June 20th. I've been really enjoying those. All the biographies they've been doing, Ultimate Warrior, Bret Hart. You know, obviously a huge crossover with Guns N' Roses and WWE, as we've had CM Punk on, we've had Drew McIntyre. But now, let's wait no longer. Let's get the Queen, Charlotte Flair. Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I am honored to be in the presence of the Queen, even though it's on the phone.
Thank you.
You know, I'm really excited. I've really enjoyed the WWE Most Wanted Treasures series. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Have you had a lot of fun watching it as someone who's obviously grown up around it? Is it, you know, kind of like this memorabilia? Does it kind of strike a chord with your heart as well?
Yeah, I think what's most surprising to me is seeing these pieces and what they mean to people and how much time and effort and money they spend on looking for them. It's really neat.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, did you have kind of like your own memorabilia? Or were you kind of like desensitized to it? You know, having
honestly desensitized. Yeah. Like the only thing I've ever collected as a kid is I was a gymnast when I was younger, and I always collected my, like, every level that I got to, the pins or the certain events.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and especially to wrestling gear, I was definitely desensitized. Like, my dad's pieces weren't, you know, this sounds terrible, but it was my dad's pieces. They were normal.
Right.
It wasn't like special.
I mean, did you walk around as a, you know, little queen with his robes, like, and just think that was just, you know, daddy's normal robe?
I don't know if I did that, but I definitely took every opportunity to show off my dad. Like, I remember in kindergarten, my dad brought his big gold belt for show and tell. So there's actually a picture of it online everywhere. So as everyone brought, you know, Parents' Day, their dad was a doctor, or a lawyer, or fireman, or many different occupations. I was like, here's my dad, and here's his big gold belt.
I love it. I mean, now, do you have anything like a keepsake, maybe of yours that you're keeping? You know, if we do a Most Wanted Treasures 2, is there something of Charlotte Flair that maybe you had once and you've been looking to get back?
Yes, my Divas Championship.
Oh,
it went missing in my move 2 years ago, and I have been mad about it ever since. So, yes, definitely that.
Okay, now we got to do a sequel. We got to get on the on that.
Exactly.
You know, it's funny. The episode when they looked for Brutus, the Barber Beefcake's shears, and they went to this guy Roger's house in Massachusetts, and just oddly enough, that guy owned a tattoo shop where I got like half of my tattoos when I did radio up in Cape Cod. It's just very strange to see him on TV with you guys. You know, I don't know if you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because it's just like a really tight knit fan base, obviously, you know, and so that's why, if you could tell the name of my podcast, is a crossover with wrestling and Appetite for Distortion, Guns N' Roses, and I often talk about the memorabilia of GNR. And when I had Drew McIntyre on the show a few weeks ago, and I was asking what he would listen to on the way to the ring, you know, and GNR was one of the bands. So I'm hoping you have the same answer.
You know, I have the Patience lyrics tattooed on my arm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you can tell me maybe about your fandom a little bit about Guns N' Roses, you know, why they're so special to you.
But it's just my little brother. My little brother that passed away a couple years, or gosh, in 2013. He loved Guns N' Roses, like loved them. And we always listened to Patience together. So when he passed away, I listened to the song to this day all the time. And that, a little Patience just stuck with me. So I was like, oh, I'll get a tattoo.
I also have Patience tattooed on me, but it's in Hebrew. So it just says Patience. So
that's cool.
That's probably the one thing that we have in common, because I have no athletic ability. So what do you normally listen to when you go to the ring? Do you have like a pre-workout, or get psyched up to go when you're going out before your music hits?
Really everything. Like there's no particular genre that I like really listen to. Okay. I like a little bit of everything. Like if it sounds good, I like it.
Okay. Because I've seen, and it obviously as a fan, and maybe because I see you tweet, you in GNR shirts, and I believe you even went to a concert, right?
I've been to a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I saw them in Vegas. I saw them in Atlanta. Where else did I see them? Was it just twice?
Okay.
I swear I saw them one other. Yeah, that first year that they went back on tour.
Okay. Because it's such a crossover, because it's funny. I obviously have a lot of GNR stuff around my house. If we were doing a Zoom, you would see my entire backdrop. But also, my fiance has allowed me to take a couple of my wrestling buddies with me. So I have Big Boss Man and Macho King right now in our bedroom. Do you remember the wrestling buddies?
That's cool.
Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I didn't know if that got weird for a second. Like, a wrestling buddy? What do you go? I don't want to know what's going on.
No. I knew what you were talking about. Yeah.
What is I guess what's been the most surprising piece of memorabilia to go back to the series that you were surprised that maybe somebody didn't want to give up? I always like that somebody doesn't want to give up because it's so important to them. You're like, oh man, come on, why don't you give that up? Like maybe like one of the Andre the Giant one that just was released. People didn't want to give away his passport. So is there maybe one didn't want to give up, or is there, throughout the whole series, was there a very surprising moment to you? You're like, whoa, I didn't know about this piece of memorabilia. I didn't know, how much this was worth. Was there anything surprising about this series so far with you?
No, I just think it's just you can't buy someone's no amount of money after they find this piece that they've been looking for to collect, that the money doesn't matter to them. Like you can't buy them. Just that piece means so much. I think that's what was so surprising to me, because there's nothing really that I have of somebody else's. I mean, obviously, yeah. Like if my dad gave me something, or my little brothers, I wouldn't want to give it away, but that's also my family's item.
Right.
Like to see someone else have something of someone else's and not want to give it up no matter what, that was pretty surprising to me, I think.
Yeah, and especially always funny when they haggle just for like another $25 or something. I'm like, come on, it's not gonna is it really gonna make that much of a difference?
Yeah, like yeah. But no, I mean, it's neat to see that people, have that much, I guess, passion or interest for it. It's really unique.
Do you have anything now? I mean, I know we discussed, you were younger, but now, maybe that you're into business, did maybe like somebody you faced off against that, maybe it gave you, like how basketball players or football players trade jerseys, at the end of the game. Have you ever had an experience like that, trading tights or something? Do you have any like,
I don't. I mean, maybe we're just too young in our careers where we're like, no, we're gonna wear this gear again. You can't have this.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte. I hope we get to do this again. I think you're one of the best, if not the best, women wrestler or wrestler just in general going today. I can't wait to see how far your career goes, and then as we do Most Wanted Treasures Part 7. We'll see.
Part 7.
Yeah, Part 7. We'll see what people have of Charlotte, and I hope we get back your Divas Championship.
Me too. Thank you so much, sir.
You got it. Thanks so much, Charlotte.
Have a great day.
You too. Sir, I'm like 2, maybe 3 years older than her, but still, I guess it's a compliment to be called sir by the Queen. And this interview and the series that WWE is doing with the Most Wanted Treasures gives me an idea. So when I had you on the podcast on Fan Obsession, one of the questions I usually ask is, I try to keep it the same. I ask the same two questions to all the fans. What's your favorite Guns N' Roses song? And what's your favorite piece of GNR memorabilia? And I would like for you to do that. You don't necessarily have to be on the podcast. You don't have to wait to be on a Fan Obsession to do that. But you can do something like, and I'll give this dude a shout out, and I'll give more shout outs in a moment for Mr. Mailstone. But Neil from the UK, I think he's from Scotland, he sent me a bunch of old newspaper articles and ticket stubs, and I shared them on social media, on Instagram, and they led to some really great conversations with all of us. So if you have ticket stubs, magazines, or just a piece of any, a photograph, anything you want to share, and you want to use the podcast platform to kind of reach more GNR fans to have a discussion about your cool collection, just hit me up. Email, social media, however it's done. So while this is going to be a shortish episode, what I would like to do, which I haven't done in a while, is Mr. Mailstone.
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
So Mr. Mailstone, where I read some of your messages you've either sent me on email, at the aftshow@gmail.com. Right now, the emails, which continue to please do so, questions or topics or anything you have any questions about the book I'm working on with Doug Goldstein, his autobiography. I will say, and I'm going to keep everything real, we've both been very busy lately, so it's been on a little bit of a hold for a few weeks, but I'm still doing work as much as I can on my end with what we have down. And with just things like very basically transcribed, I'll take Zoom interviews, and I kind of just lead him with the conversations, and I transcribe those. And the transcription program isn't perfect, so I have to go in and kind of fix it up, clean it up a bit, and then now I'm kind of organizing it and shaping it to see what's going to fit into what chapters. But we have well over 100 pages down, so that's. We have a long way to go, and we have over 100 pages now. So you can email us, and of course, with Mr. Mailstone, it's messages if you send me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. So I'm going to read a few that come from Instagram. Okay, Appetite for Distortion on Instagram. This is from Paul Spencer. He writes, being English, I love that you had Billy Duffy and Ginger Wildheart on your show. Great stuff. Thank you, Paul. This is from Rodrigo Doomhammer, which I hope is your real name, which I probably is not. Hi, Brando. I'm a big fan of your podcast. I'm from Rio, and I followed GNR since 1991 after watching the Rock in Rio 91 shows on live TV. My first concert was on 1992 in Rio during the Use Your Illusion tour. That night was insane. Axl was really pissed off and stopped the crowd a few times because the crowd was wild. After knocking on heaven's door, he stormed off the stage and didn't come back. The show was over. I was in Rock in Rio 2001 as well. Cheers, bro. Thank you so much. And it's great. He's so funny. And I got more messages from him, and he's like, oh, sorry for the long messages. I get excited with everybody, everything related to the band. Cheers. No, that's fine. I love it. Message me. That's kind of the point of it all. I can't always respond in kind other than acknowledgement because I just can't sit there having like text conversations. But I'll use this opportunity to, acknowledge you and, get your name on the podcast, and hopefully you get a kick out of it when you hear yourself. And this is one I really got a kick out of. I air quote mentioned his name. I believe he was in the episode with the Nothing Lasts Forever ladies. And I said this guy has listened to, I think, all 5 years of my podcast in 5 months. Jesus Christ. Anyway, his name is Phil Johnston. He's from the UK. And I've heard that before where people are just finding me and catch up. I don't know if it's ever been done in 5 months. That's crazy. And how did he do it in 5 months? Well, he listened to it at 2 times the speed. At first I say, how do you even understand that? How do you understand me? Because I feel I have a problem with talking too fast as it is. That's why I'm just, I'll take time and breathe and pause. Otherwise, I'm going to be the Micro Machines guy. I get too excited. But apparently in his neck of the woods, they speak really fast, so he's used to it. And he gave me an example of how he listens to me. So you're going to listen to the AFD show the same way Phil from the UK listens to it.
Same here. That's why I made the decision that, there was one time, and I always be completely open with. I mean, this is a few years ago. At the time, I'm like, I can't keep crying myself to sleep. I have to do something. And at the time, I didn't believe in therapy. I didn't believe in medication. Yes, you are right that there are the pharmaceutical companies that overprescribe. But just like how you mentioned, like with your dad, heroin is a disease. So is some mental health. Where depression is a disease, where you're not getting the right serotonin. And I feel it now that I've tried getting off medication. I'm like, why am I so angry all the time now? Like, and I'll be honest with you.
And I love that's the example that he sent me. Me talking about mental health and my mental problems. Wow, that is crazy. The fact that you listen to 5 years worth of podcasts like that, I mean, thank you. Thank you, Phil. And thank you to everybody who reaches out. And, a lot of fans of the podcast that are as dedicated, honestly, as Phil, who find out we're still being found 5 years later. That's why I'm never going to be like, oh, Appetite for Distortion, I'm too cool. No, there's a lot of work we need to do. A lot of work we still need to do. And I need your help. I need people like Phil to find us. Tell your friends about it. Tell your friends, this isn't just, it's for Guns N' Roses fans, but look at this. Charlotte Flair, you don't have a wrestling fan in your life that would love to hear just a cool short interview with Charlotte Flair? Or, Pauly Shore, or, all these random people. I always bring up Pauly Shore. All these random, and I tweeted this the other day, and I appreciate the sentiments I got back, but I would love to just reach a point in my career where random celebrities are contacting me just to talk about Guns N' Roses. Just some random actor, like, hey, I just listened to Appetite for Distortion, and I just listened to the Use Your Illusion albums, and I want to talk about it. And they just, where are they going to talk about it really, other than here? So I'd like for that to happen. So just tell people about it. And a lot of you do it. If you see a celebrity on Instagram or Twitter wearing a Guns N' Roses shirt, and thank you for doing it, you tag me in it. And I try to make it happen. I did try to reach out because I saw it was on... I watched the show Entourage when it was on HBO. I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't dislike it. I just was not... it wasn't like my main thing. I saw a lot of the episodes. I don't know if I ever saw the movie, but I know enough about it. Anyway, somebody sent me, because they're doing a podcast about that, some of the actors, and one of them, Kevin Connolly, who played E on it, is, I know he's a big Islanders fan, and he's apparently a big Guns N' Roses fan. And Matt Dillon, who's also in the show, when the Guns N' Roses came up, he told this funny story about him and Axl hanging out back in the day, going to a pancake house or whatever. So I reached out to Kevin Connolly, tried to get him on the show. Nothing. Didn't hear back. Very, actually really disappointed with that one. I'm a Long Island guy, Islander fan, GNR fan. Why wouldn't you want to do this podcast? I don't know. So hopefully in the future, we will get him. And I can say that with somewhat confidence because Charlotte Flair, I've wanted to obviously get her for a long time. I mentioned it on the episode, with Drew McIntyre and when we had CM Punk on. And I will say, I think it's a little bit of a landmark getting Charlotte Flair on because some of these interviews, the short ones, are through my job. The one I work for, as you've been listening to the podcast, know I work for Premier Radio Networks, iHeartRadio, and we put on these morning radio tours, and she's obviously promoting the WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, and you get a short amount of time with them. So it was a few years ago, she did a radio tour, I believe, promoting, I think it was her book, or it might have been a co-book with her and her dad, Ric Flair. And I saw that she was coming in, and I guess the podcast was maybe like a year old or something like that. And like I said to my boss, I'm like, hey, if there's an opportunity, I have this podcast, let me know. If not, I completely understand. And at the time, he was like, well, it booked up really quick. So, but maybe next time. And that was kind of like, I can ask? I can actually ask to get on these radio tours. And over time, proving myself, especially with the, if you notice, like the Billy Duffy interview, when, got a real nice article in Ultimate Classic Rock, proving myself and proving this podcast to be something really viable, getting some big time guests, including Charlotte Flair. So really, really excited. So now who else is there left? As far as I know, with WWE, people who are big into Guns N' Roses, I know Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, they've talked about Chinese democracy. So, I want more of that. I want to do more of that. I'm happy that I'm getting more into the wrestling thing. But now I want to get more into sports. I want to get some more athletes on here to talk about Guns N' Roses. Once the hockey season is over, with hopefully as the Islanders as Stanley Cup champions, I am going to reach out to Luke Robitaille, legendary Los Angeles Kings player, because when I spoke to Fred Corey, who does Sonic branding for the LA Kings, he recommended, he's like, you should get on Luke Robitaille. And I reached out to the LA Kings, and they said, maybe, check into it with us when this season's over. So it'll be really cool if we get athletes. So if you guys know, especially, I'm a dumb American. I don't know the football players, the soccer players, that kind of football play. I don't, other than, Ronaldo, I don't really know that side of sports, or, rugby or anything. So if for those of you, who live on the other side of the pond and are familiar with the other kinds of sports, and you hear of like, oh, this athlete likes Guns N' Roses, and as always, if you help me book a guest, you could be a co-host. So just planting more seeds. Planting more seeds. And I'll plant these seeds. Next episode, I did allude to it a little bit, Danny Filth from Cradle of Filth. And also, we're going to do an Appetite for Discovery. And we're going to be speaking with Mac Mullins of the band The CEO. Very cool. He's an actual CEO, finally making his rock star dreams come true. I believe he's 50, but a really cool band featuring Vince Hornsby of Seven Dust, and they're a really cool band. So that'll be the next episode. Okay, so I will tell you that. Upcoming guests, Josh Todd is still on the docket to be a repeat guest. And as far as other people, well, you're just going to have to find out. Social media is the best way. Facebook.com/The AFD Show. Twitter @The AFD Show. Instagram, as I read some of those messages from you earlier. Or email. And that's probably the best way if you want to, be a part of Doug Goldstein's autobiography. Ask some cool questions. So what is to come in the future? Okay. Well, I told you some of it, but still, let's end the episode the same way we always do. So what is to come on the AFD Show? Well, the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy. You'll see it, I don't know, as soon as the word.
Thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home.